Hello, everybody. This is Jonathan with the Balloon Guild, one of the Jonathans. The other Jonathan is also on this Zoom meeting, and we are here with Joette Giardina from, is that how you say your last name?
Yep, Giardina, you got it.
Okay. Every time I say it, I'm like, I feel like that's right. Okay. Anyways, she is all the way from Lakeland, which is like literally 3 miles from where I live. Um, Anyhow, I am super pumped. I think most people in the balloon world anybody who's everybody who's anybody knows who Joette is. Um, and I'm excited to have her on and pick her brain about a lot of stuff. So welcome to the Zoom.
Thank you.
And I guess the where I start with everybody is deepest darkest secret, Joette. Go. No, I'm kidding.
Deepest, darkest.
No, what got you into balloons?
Oh, what got me into balloons? So, I love being creative, and with my church, I helped out with planning events, and I actually hired party people. It used to be a storefront in Lakeland. I hired them to do some of the balloon work for our church. Our church was called Oasis, and so the palm tree was a part of the logo. And so I was fascinated watching them make the palm trees. And I also originally was looking at being an at home mom with my daughter, and I worked for a company called 1-800 Party Supply. And it was just like being a Mary Kay consultant, but instead it was paper goods. And so you would have a box that would have all the papers for like your gymnastic party and the streamers, and the box itself that got shipped to you turned into a game, and then you could add in balloons. And when we went to the convention to learn about selling, they had balloon decor, and so I was like, oh, I didn't realize you could make this a job. And so I started dabbling in it, and saw all the cool equipment that Therese had, like when they would come with their dual split sizer to use nitrogen to blow up the palm tree to the specific size. I was just like, oh, I need that someday. So started out just being that creative person helping out with church stuff, and then turned it into a job.
Would you care to say what year or how many years ago that was?
Yeah, so in 2003 is when I purchased Party People. I was renting helium tanks from Therese, and she said, you know, I'm looking at selling my business because my oldest is a freshman at college, my youngest is in kindergarten, and I need my evenings and weekends back. And I know you love what we do.
We got muted. Sorry.
Unmute. I don't know. I don't know what just happened.
Oh,
I
I was
unmuted
trying to
myself.
mute people coming in because they were all coming in loud, and I thought I'd be smart and hit a unmute all.
Oh,
Not the right
okay.
way to do it.
So where
That's
did we stop at?
so you
It was literally, I told you within like 10 seconds. You were right.
Okay. So
yeah.
yeah, so basically I had watched what Therese did. I had done the 1-800 party shop stuff. And so when she offered me to buy her company, my husband and I prayed about it. And it was just like the perfect timing. I was burnt out as a social worker, and I wanted to be able to work for myself and have a flexible schedule. So it was a pretty amazing thing going from just watching her. And she actually made the balloons for the hospital for my mom when I had my daughter in 1999. So I had been watching her work since 1999.
Okay. So I'm gonna work backwards now because I am fascinated with I feel like people are like books, and you read the title, you make a judgment on what that book is like, but you have no clue until you open the book, you start taking time to read the pages. So I'm fascinated with what you learn about people when you actually start asking them questions, which is why I mean, maybe I should come more prepared for some of these, but I just want to go where curiosity leads me. And I like digging into people's past a little bit. So you mentioned you were a social worker.
Yes.
How long did you do that for?
Um, so when I moved to, well, gosh, that's really hard to define because I had a lot of jobs that kind of define within social work. My degree is in recreation and leisure studies, and because that's like out of the box thinking, when my husband and I moved to Tennessee, I got hired and I actually worked with adults with mental illness. So that was kind of social working. I also worked with delinquent youth. Um, so that was kind of my start in life of doing some crazy stuff with both of those situations. And then when we moved to Florida, I became a social worker with adults with mental retardation. And so at the ARC. And so we helped them develop life skills and try to be able to help them fend for themselves when needed and speak up for themselves. But a lot of them are more at like a childlike age of always needing to live in a group home or with some other people to kind of make sure that they stayed safe. But we had some that then would go into independent living or at least have a job out in the community. So I really loved working with those folks. They're the most loving, cool people. But I got mad at social work because you would then ask for certain levels of services for them, and you get a red denied sticker on your file. Services denied. And then the families would get mad, and you're like, but I did everything I could. And then they would talk to the governor somehow. They'd find a friend up, and then you would get a message saying, hey, you got to change all of that stuff and get them the services they need. I'm like, just take the red sticker off. Like, I've done all the work. And they're like, no, you have to redo everything. And I was like, yeah, I can't handle this. If you don't get services until somebody knows somebody that knows somebody, this is not the place for me to be at. So, yeah, that was my life prior to Happy Balloons. And that's why I wanted to do something joyful and fun because it was really frustrating, not being able to get the services you wanted when you needed them.
Okay. I always assumed social work. My wife was a social worker as well. And it was, I thought social workers were DCF employees who were trying to just deal with trauma in families. I didn't know that it went way beyond that to all these other areas, which makes sense because there's more social problems than just problem families
Yeah.
with adoptive or termination of rights stuff. So, okay, what got you into that? Like, did you go to school for that?
So
Is that what you wanted to be when you grew up?
yeah, so when I was in high school, I had started a group against drinking and driving and did a sad chapter at my area, which is like, oh, you can't have a sad chapter because that promotes alcoholism or drinking and in the youth. And I'm like, I'm just trying to keep people from dying. And so when I was in high school, I got to a lot of conferences, won some awards from what I was doing in my school. I'm like, this is kind of cool. I want to help people out. So that's what I originally had my degree as. But then I won an award for leadership and I went to an outdoor education center in Michigan. So I was living in Missouri, drove to Michigan by myself in a bus with people that I didn't know to this really cool leadership conference. And I found out about outdoor education, which was like doing a trust fall where you're standing on a tree 6 feet up and everybody puts their hands out and you fall backwards and people catch you. And the communication that then happens of like how you can trust people to catch you when you need help, it was really cool. I'm like, hey, this is like social work, but outdoors and fun. So I went back to my college and found out that I could have a degree in outdoor education. And so I changed my major. And so when I graduated, my goal was to work in an outdoor education facility or like by now in my life owning a camp. And so my husband and I actually met at an outdoor education facility where we did our internships in Indiana. So I was working with corporate groups where they would come out and have to learn how to communicate with each other better, how to trust each other in the office to follow up with what you've asked them to do. So it's just kind of wild how everything falls together because now as a business coach, I'm helping people learn how to trust their employees and how to take risk and, do it in a safe way. And so it's kind of fun how that all evolves over time. But yeah, at this point, I thought I was going to be living at an outdoor education facility all my life.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So, that's what you wanted to be when you grew up? Like
Yeah.
as a, you,
Yeah,
you,
I wanted to own a camp. Like I thought
okay.
I would be the one that had the conference center where people came in with kids and camp and all of that.
So my question then is, and maybe this is a little bit of a deep question, the feeling that you were expecting to have when you got to that place, like this personal satisfaction, the joy in your job. I don't know that people think about this. I don't know that I think about it very much. The joy of thinking I finally am at this place that's been my life's goal. Your life's goal has changed, obviously, but honestly, I mean, only kind of shifted sideways. Are you finding that satisfaction and that same rewarding feeling from doing what you're doing now?
Yes. I think that what I really get goosebumps about is that, they say that all of your life prepares you for where you're at and like you can learn from all those little pieces. And the number one thing I absolutely love is when I talk to somebody who does not have the confidence to sell, or they don't feel like what they're doing is worthy. They don't see how amazing their skill is or how valued what they do is to the world. And being able to help people increase their confidence to be able to go, yes, I am worthy of this amount of money for this amount of time and to do these things. It's just like on the days when I was in the outdoors and I would help people jump off, 50 feet up in the air and say, I've got you on belay, you are safe, jump, go for it, or go down the zip line. It's going to be a blast. And so I really feel like I've been able to take those facilitation skills into what I'm doing with the coaching, and that it's really helped me show people how they can take those risks calculated, knowing that they've got a safety net. And so it's kind of like I'm still on belay, but without the ropes. And so I'm still there to help and support, but just in a different fashion. And so it is really exciting to kind of see how I'm able to take those skills. And it's so rewarding to watch other people succeed because they followed the steps that you're like, hey, I promise if you follow these steps, it's going to work. And they're like, are you sure? And I'm like, yes, it's helped hundreds and thousands of people. Just do it. And, they do it scared. And then they have these amazing breakthroughs. And that's really more exciting than anything I ever would have thought of with outdoor ed.
Yeah. There's a really cool story in the Bible, super famous, David and Goliath. And most people use that story just to say, with God on your side, you can conquer any Goliath in your life, any mountain, whatever. But if you actually read the story, there's a great part where David is challenged and he's like, who are you? You're just a little pipsqueak. Why do you think you could defeat Goliath? And he starts recounting his life story, like a couple points in history for him, where he's like, well, I did this and I did this. Goliath is just another step in that same path. And what I love about that is that David realizes, and whether you believe in the Bible or not, whether the story is made up or not, the principle is the same. If you look in your past, you're going to find that you've already taken steps towards the goal that you have now, even if that goal is so different, right? So like what you said, you had already developed skills that translate to something new, but you're using the same skills that you've already done. So a lot of balloon decorators, I think, don't realize how skilled they are at some of the areas because it's, well, I've never done that with balloons, or I've never done this or that. So, okay. So, clearly you've mentioned that you're in coaching, and it's like you started coaching before coaching was like coaching, right? Like everybody coaches everything now. Uh,
Right. Before
but
coaching was cool.
yeah, when did you start coaching?
So unofficially, I started coaching when I started going to conferences, because I was went I invested from the get go to go to conferences, meet really cool people. I've helped multiple people win awards at conferences for like large sculptures, and then at Float, I did small sculpture so I could win in a small thing without having to build a big team and all of that. So I won 2 first place awards, and then after that, you get asked to teach. And so then after you teach, everybody starts private messaging you and emailing you and calling you and saying, hey, I know you taught about this, but can you tell me some more? Can you spend time with me? And my husband's like, if you're going to spend that much time away from party people and from our family, you've got to get paid for your time. So for a couple of years, I was pretty much doing it for free. And then you and I had our conversation
Oh,
about buying the business in 2015. And so in 2015 is when Balloon Coach was born and became real. And yeah, so
okay. So, what do you miss about doing balloons every day, if anything? And what is your favorite thing that you're glad you don't have to do anymore?
so I miss that walking into a room and it's transformed and it's magical and your client is overjoyed and surprised at what you did. I love that feeling, but I still get to do that once a year with Summit. Um, but I do not miss having to be up at like 4 in the morning to go do deliveries for fun runs that start at like 6 or 7 in the morning, where you're setting up where it's either still raining out, possibly, or dew, or bugs.
Yeah.
I don't miss that part. And I definitely do not miss late night takedowns where you've got a contract signed for them to be ending at midnight, and then they've paid the DJ for an extra hour and they expect you to sit there and wait. I had some very interesting moments with drunk people trying to like hold on to my designs. It was a reunion, and it was an anchor for one of the high schools reunion. And the guy was trying to take the anchor frame that's all metal and that 50-pound base and put it in his car. So then you're like, okay, drunk person, give me my stuff back. Those things I don't miss.
Yeah. Okay, and you mentioned briefly like you're married and you have one child, correct? Just
That is
so I
correct.
like to let people know like what family life is like. And when you were doing your business, what was it like for you? Did you work out of your home? Did you work out of shop? What all? And I guess since you have a
Multiple.
broad, yeah, like where did your business go from start to finish?
Yeah. So when I bought the company from Therese, she had closed the storefront down and had moved everything home. And so we took everything from our house and we moved our master bedroom into our spare bedroom so that I had all the space of the master bedroom, which is the biggest part of our house. And then our living room and dining room is connected. And so next to our dining room table, there was the large counter that had been originally from the store, which I know you still have at the shop. So that was in my living room next, or dining room next to our table. I had the helium tank, the nitro tank right there. So you would walk in my front door and you would see a balloon business going on in half of that space in the living space. And then you would turn to the right, and then the bedroom was floor to ceiling balloons. We had extra stuff out in the garage. And so over time, balloons just took over the entire house, which I know a lot of people have that story. I wanted to stay married. And so we built a 600 square foot warehouse in our backyard. I live in an area that doesn't have any laws against that. It's not a restricted community where everybody votes on the color of your house or anything. So we have a large backyard. Followed the guidelines to be 7 feet off the fence line, and it is 10 feet tall at the peak, 8 feet on the sides, and 600 feet, so 20 by 30 with air conditioning. And that was like the best day in my family's life was when they walked through the doors, and I had some friends come and we moved everything out of the house and into the warehouse. And so it was just like that breath of fresh air that you had your home back again. But the business was just 50 feet away in the backyard.
So I like to pause a little bit on some of these transitions because I feel like they're really important for people. And I feel like timing is a really big deal for them. Um, what factors, I mean, clearly you said just balloons were everywhere. So the factor of you're living inside a balloon shop was part of the factor. Were there financial considerations? Did you think about getting the space off, like not building? Like where was the decision making and all of that?
Great question. So Therese, who was the previous owner of the company, she had told me like, do not ever open a storefront. The reason she had moved is her lease had doubled, and she couldn't find any other comparable space. And then also she had so much money sunk into like paper goods, the tablecloths, the paper, paper plates, all that stuff that like every person tells you have to have if you have a balloon store and party event place. And so she's like, don't ever go down that road. It's a money suck. Like, just don't do it. And so when I was looking, I was like, if I moved away from my house, I wanted it to be like a studio space or a warehouse so that I didn't have to worry about walk-in clients. But I didn't want to be away from my daughter. So when I first started, she was 4. And the whole reason I was doing this was to be able to be at home. So I couldn't find any spaces around that I liked, and I'm like, you know what, I'd rather just stay at home. I have the ability to build on my property. And then I was like, if I ever sell the business, it could be a big family room, it could be whatever we want it to be. So yeah, I knew for me, I didn't want to have to drive somewhere, commute somewhere. We purposely bought our house where it's at so I could go pick my daughter up from school and take her to school. And so by being able to work from the warehouse here on the property, I could still easily go and commute and get her or take her to school.
Yeah, right on. Okay, so your husband worked with you until how many times did he quit? How many times did he get fired? And then how many times did he come back every time?
Yeah. So Brian is a teacher here in Florida, and teachers in Florida are the lowest paid teachers in the United States. Yay. So he would come home from work and I'd be like, honey, I'm running late. Can you please help me? He's like, I don't remember ever, signing up for a part-time job. Like, I'm good. I have a full-time job. Didn't remember signing up. Yeah, exactly. But my husband is amazing. He is just such a family man. And so he would do it begrudgingly sometimes. And just like I talk to people, it's difficult sometimes working with a spouse. And I think, especially when it's the female that's in charge of the male, that sometimes that ego thing gets bumped. And so there were several times where we were on a job where I'd have to make a correction or be like, it was getting down to the minute, and he doesn't deal well with stress and change. And so he simply would walk off, take off the shirt, and like, I don't work for party people anymore. I'm like, oh, that's great. So luckily, I have a lot of friends that had helped me out over the years that would pitch in and do things also. And then I also had found a couple of people locally that could help part time. But yeah, so he did definitely work with me, but he it was not his favorite thing to do.
Yeah. I remember when I started to work with you, just hearing some of those stories was kind of funny. And you work with your family. I mean, what advice would you have? You're the advice giver here. What would you advise people who work with their family, their children, their spouses? Like, and
Yeah.
keep in mind, advice is also like, they're your family. They're going to be around no matter what.
I think the number one thing is clear communication and expectations. And just like, I finally got to a point where I said, okay, here's the thing. We're going to get onto an event. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you being here. But at this point, I'm going to become a drill sergeant. And the thing is, we have a deadline and we've got to be done by this time. So I'm not going to say, please pick this up or thank you for doing that until the end. Like, it's just going to be directions. And so finding out how your family needs to be talked to and maybe having to put those extra thank you and please go pick that up. Sometimes you may just have to change the way you speak. The other part of it is find other people to work for you. Like, other people is going to be a better idea. I do know a couple of couples that work really well together. And then I know other couples that the best way for them to work together is have two totally separate duties. Like,
Yeah.
this person can be trained to do really, really good on one thing and just let them do it without you having to micromanage them. So is that, to me, I found to work best is if you could find a specific skill and let them go, or if there's somebody else working with you also, have that person go work with them versus you working directly with them.
That's where I've landed. My wife works with me, and we found that it's best for, she has things that she likes to do, and it's not the same stuff as me. And we do cross communicate, obviously. But when she first started working with me, she came home, she's like, is everything okay? I was like, why? She's like, you didn't hug me today. You didn't kiss me. I was like, we were at work. She's like, oh, thank God. I thought you were mad at me or something. I'm like, no. So communication is a big deal.
Yeah, no, it definitely isn't like debriefing after things.
Yes.
Super helpful to
And I've
make a plan for the
fired
future.
all of my kids more than once, sometimes, I think. Told one of them crying doesn't exist on this job. If that's what you're going to do, then maybe this isn't for you. Like, yeah. And like I said, so for me, you got it. You're going to be with your family. So that communication, maybe you shouldn't work for them.
Yeah.
The thing.
The other thing I just want to throw out is a caveat on children, and I know some people have different views on this, but I think you have to be really careful when it comes to having younger children on a job site with you. Number one, insurance is an issue. And certain places are not going to allow people under the age of 16 or under the age of 18 actually in the building. And I think sometimes in today's world after COVID, everybody wants just to be like, hey, peace, love, happiness. Our family can go anywhere with us. And I think we sometimes forget about that part of it, is there is actual insurance issues and liability and all of that that you do have to take into consideration. So I know a lot of times people get into this because, oh, I want to be that at-home mom and have all the time with my kids. My reality was my daughter went to preschool. We paid for it. And then I had to deal with all my friends. It's like, you either work with me on a job and help me out so my husband can watch my kid, or you're going to watch my kids so my husband can come work for me. Which one would you like? And I was very fortunate to have a support system to be able to help me out with that. And there were times that Marley at a young age went on jobs, but it was like when we were doing something for my church,
Yeah.
or for a personal friend versus, oh, I'm going to go set up a corporate Christmas party and have my 5-year-old on the job
Yeah.
site.
I found Slurpees work for my kids, but again, I never brought them to corporate jobs. There's just a different level of expectation, and they don't want to see your kid.
Right.
But somebody who you kind of know a little and you know their family, they know you, they would love your kid to show up. if your
Yes.
kid works for you. Um, and Slurpees will be good pay until they're not anymore, and then you want actual money. Um, okay, so let's talk about Balloon Boss Summit. It happens every year, usually in November, correct?
Yes.
And what number is this one coming up?
Oh goodness, you would have to ask me that. I think it's our ninth live event, and that's where it gets confusing because like we started in 2015 doing live events, and like I had bridged the gap with David Mahoney
Right.
from Balloons Every Day. I had him come and teach. One year I did 2 parade workshops in Chicago with Balloons by Tommy, and we used to call that Parade Promotions and Profits. And then Jonathan Gerber came to one of them with me, and it's like, hey, let's do this in Florida in like 2 months. We got a group of people and came to Orlando to do the parade workshop. And then it went from promotions and profits to, I think we called it retreat for a year, and then turned it into Balloon Boss Summit. So I believe it's actually our ninth live event there in Orlando. The hotel was saying that we've been there for 8 years.
Okay.
So
It's just a great hotel for it too. Really good location.
yes.
Staff is really nice. So let's talk about Summit a little bit for people who may not know what makes it different than, first of all, if you've never been to a live event before, a lot of them basically center around, here's all these classes where you're going to learn all these different techniques for balloons. And it's cool to learn those techniques. I don't personally use almost any of them in my business because everybody wants, like a lot of the distributors want you to come up with a new technique to teach. And it's like, if it's new, then people aren't using it for business success. Like, I don't know, it puts a lot of pressure on the instructor. And often it's like, yeah, I came up with this thing, but I'm never doing this for my business. It takes too long, or it's too complicated, or whatever. What makes Balloon Boss Summit different?
So Balloon Boss Summit is focused on high profit balloon decor that will make you money, and that are things that can be replicated by having a recipe and a plan by anybody on your team. Because bottom line is Balloon Boss Summit is everything that I wish other conferences would do. And over time, I have seen different trainings pop up that are more aligned with being focused on business, which is awesome because I said with Balloon Coach, I want to be a catalyst for change in the industry. And I'm finally seeing that happen, which is super exciting. But the bottom line is when you come to Summit, we're not going to just make all the big pretty things just to make big pretty things. Is I want to make sure that it's something sellable, that we get the professional photography of it so that you can then go home and market and sell the items that are there. And the coolest thing for me is when leaving Summit or even at Summit, people have sold the designs. Like last year, I think Sarah Meyer sitting in the classroom that's up around my head now with all the cool butterflies and stuff that you did. She sold that design to somebody while she was at Summit, pitching something for the spring. So throughout the day, the format this year is in the morning. We spend time together in the same room, somebody up on stage talking. After at lunchtime, you get to sit with an instructor. At a lot of large conferences, the instructors are nowhere to be found because they're so busy in a prep room building all the balloons for their next class. And so at Summit, it's more laid back. You get to sit at the table with an instructor each day and have a meal with them and get to really have great conversations. And then the afternoon, you get to choose, are you going to go work on some business strategies, or are you going to increase your balloon skills? And so we have actual business mentors there with Jeff Kelly with Balloon Suite talking about CRMs and Google ads. And he understands the tech side of things, but because he's been coming to Summit for so many years and has so many balloon clients now, he understands the balloon terminology. We've got Elizabeth Fiore, who does accounting and bookkeeping. Her client base is now balloon people. And so she is doing the numbers for a variety of people, from people with small businesses to over $500,000 businesses. So she understands how the money part works for people. Nicole, let Nicole help. She's there and she's the person that helps people figure out 17 hats or helps anybody with their customer management flow. So you can actually sit with somebody with your computer and take care of things right then and there, where a lot of times technical stuff is hard for creatives. And so having somebody sit next to you with your computer or with your phone doing it makes all the difference in the world. And so for me, it's just that culmination of being able to mix both learning some of the decor and then just really focusing on those business skills that you need the extra help with.
Yeah. I would say it's probably my favorite thing about going there is that what you just said is I know that I can find Jeff Kelly and run through a couple things that he said that and actually this is a cool story. I think I told this to you. Jeff Kelly is one of the major reasons why the Balloon Guild exists. And that is because he said something on stage that sparked an idea that I've had an idea about balloon recipes, but I didn't like the idea of building something taking so long just to sell something one time. And then it's like, now I can never sell that again to a person. But he's the first person who mentioned the word subscription in one of his conversations from the stage, and Leah Luna, I think, is in this group right now. She's like, that's what you need to do. And then it was like, oh my gosh, you're right. And then like the entire, so this is, I'm telling you, I'm not saying you guys are going to come away with like a brand new business, but you will come away with like a brand new business idea that I had 2 days worth of time to workshop that idea with every dang person there and get the idea and say, hey, what do you think if this kind of business existed? What would you think? And they gave me feedback. Like it had to be, we need our recipes to be editable. We need this, we need that. So by the end, my idea was 20 times better than it ever started. And I had it worked out a lot before I even left, which was amazing. So you're right. Meeting with people where you can throw ideas back and forth, where you can get that instant feedback and advice. And a lot of people have done the thing you're trying to do and can save you a lot of headache by telling you, oh, I made all these mistakes. Don't do any of that stuff.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. Was it scary starting Balloon Boss? Was that a scary transition?
Yeah, becoming balloon coach was super scary because party people was my identity. Like in Lakeland, I walk in to a room and I'm the balloon person. And so it's like, do I want to give my baby up? And will Jonathan be a good dad? Like to my baby. I mean, seriously, and I think a lot of people who are solo business owners get that. Like our business becomes a part of our identity, it becomes a part of our family, it's our what we're building up. And I loved it, and I loved all my clients. I have really amazing clients that I'd work with and I'm still friends with now, 9 years after selling the business. That sounds just crazy that it's been 9 years. um, and so when I was looking at becoming balloon coach, I had a friend that knew and that had gotten some advice from me and stuff like that. She's like, when are you going to start your training program? You keep saying you're going to do this thing, when are you going to do it? And finally at one point I said, if not now, when? And I had several people in the balloon industry who were very vocal about, who are you to start a coaching business? Your business isn't like a $500,000 business. You work from home. You're not the best designer in the world. I had so many negatives from certain people that I admired, and I was like, wow, you guys are jerks. Thanks. Like that's super helpful. But I share that because so many times I know people face that with their families. Hey, I'm gonna have a balloon business. What are you talking about, a balloon business? That's not a real business. Like we hear those things. And so we have to decide, are we going to listen to the negative, or are we going to listen to the people who say, yeah, this is something that you need to do? And I could tell it was a gap in the industry. And so I'm like, well, if not me, who? And so when is going to be now? And so I just took that leap of faith after Jonathan asking the question of, can I buy your balloon business? Like the timing worked out really, really well. But it was scary. And then so I also did stay on with Jonathan and said, if we're going to make this transition, I need to stay on as a marketing manager for a while because of two things. I wanted to make sure there was a natural flow for my customers to become familiar with Jonathan. And then the other part of that is that I wanted to make sure I had the opportunity to work for a larger company, because Jonathan's company had larger opportunities than I did and had more of a team. And so it was cool that I've gotten to experience both being a small business on my own and then with a few people helping part-time, to being, hey, this is what it looks like to be a part of a team and just do a piece of it. So it was really got to be exciting. But yeah, it was super scary at first. And my husband's like, no one is going to pay you to talk to you. And I had packages back then where you could talk to me weekly, and it was like $600. And my first client was from Australia. and paid me that for months. And I'm like, this is amazing. So when you get that first payment, it's super exciting. But yeah, it's been a scary and exciting thing all at once.
Yeah. Well, one thing, and I think I even started this conversation saying this, that everybody who's anybody knows who you are, but that also goes the other way. So what I have always, and it's a crazy feeling. And if you if you're newer in the industry and you bought your business from somebody else, having them come to work with you makes you feel safe. Like, this job's going to be okay. And then you get to a point where it's kind of annoying that they're with you. And I always want that for my employees. I tell you, whenever I annoy you by showing up, you tell me, and I will be happy to stop showing up to jobs with you, because that means you're ready to do it on your own and you feel more comfortable working without me around, looking over your shoulder. But my point is, even if those negative, this is the thing, like, people started giving you negativity out of the gate. And I think on some levels, it's not it's not really great to hear that. But if they make you ask the real question, like, well, who am I? And then you need to answer that question in a positive light, you're going to start realizing you are the person for this. Or at the very least, because of you, circumstances, the sun, moon, and stars lined up and it worked out. But my thing about you is, you always know where to get the answer, even if you don't have it. And at this point, you've been doing this long enough. I feel like you have all the answers yourself. But even if there was something that somebody asked you that they wanted feedback or advice on, and it wasn't your strong suit, you could get the right person in touch with them, or you would talk to that person to get that advice for them that they need. So my selling point for your service is, this lady will answer every damn question that you ever have, what, in some way, shape, or form, in a way that will help you in your business.
Yeah.
And it might not be the answer you want to hear, but it'll be the right one.
Yeah, I'm definitely a straight shooter, and I call myself a master connector. I did that within locally in Lakeland. As I met people in networking events, I would help. I would generally want to help other businesses succeed. So it wasn't always about buy balloons from me, but it was like, how can I help your business grow and who can I connect you with? And I did that locally within our networking groups. And then now, because I went to so much training and I invested in being in the room, because that's the other thing I think people in our industry miss, because now the internet has so much training, is we forget to get in the room physically, face to face with people. But I have built relationships where people invite me to their home, and my husband and I have traveled across the country, and people have given us codes to their house to go into their home when they weren't there and sleep in their space until they showed up. But that's because I built real relationships with them, and then really had genuine interest in how their business is doing. And so, yeah, I love that I'm able to help other people who aren't as well connected connect to the answers they need. And that's, Balloon Coach is not about me, it's about the connection of the mentors that I have in our program to be able to help other people grow. So thank you
Okay.
for sharing that.
We do have the 20 question thing,
Okay.
but I do have a question for you before we get to that. Which I
Yes.
guess is another question. Are there still open seats in Balloon Boss Summit for 2024? What is the date, and how does somebody sign up for it?
Yes, we limit it to 100 delegates. We still have about 25 left. So grab your seats now. It's at ballooncoach.com, and the event is in Orlando at Disney Springs Holiday in Orlando. It's walking distance to Disney Springs, so you can go ride their hot air balloon, go to meals, all that fun stuff. And the dates are November 9th through the 14th. It is 6 full days of training. You get lunch every day at a resort. It's
Good
a
lunch too. It's really good.
delicious buffet lunch every day. If you have special needs, you just let me know and we'll have them cook something else up for you. Let's see. We have a fun event on Wednesday night. Our last night together, and then we still have a day of classes on Thursday. This year it's a casino theme. Dante Longy from Dream Factory Balloons is the one creating the wall for the backdrop, and he did that a few years ago for Masquerade, and everybody absolutely loved it and how quick it came together. So Tuesday night we'll build a wall, put it up, and then have the other decor with our other instructors. And so you get to have fun pictures and a fun night celebrating at the end of the event. So yes, you can get your tickets still.
Okay. And as far as the building stuff, since there's very few classes about how to build a thing, generally people, if they want to work on the wall, they can, right? They can just say, hey, Dante, can I help you out?
Yeah, so what's going to happen this year is on Saturday, because there's no longer Qualitex and a CBA program, which we used to do on Saturday morning. All day Saturday is hands-on classes, which will be on the schedule. So you can pick, oh, I want to go work with Tabitha on this project, or I want to go do ceiling installs with Brianna. So you'll get to select what you make, and then on that Tuesday night, pretty much all hands on deck. Like everybody should be in the wall class to learn it all at once. But if they don't want to, they can go work on other projects.
Right on. Okay, cool. Are you ready for the 20 questions?
Here we go.
Okay, favorite color. I already know it.
Teal.
Yes. What color is your house?
Um, bright baby blue. It's like a watercolor.
Okay. Favorite food.
Favorite food, Mexican tacos.
All right, good. Dessert. Favorite dessert.
Ooh. Chocolate chip mint ice cream.
Okay. Do you have a favorite movie?
So many. Yeah, no, I don't have one that just totally stands out.
What? Okay, so what
Oh,
type of
I
movie?
like Grease, movie Grease from when I
Oh,
was a kid. I
oh,
can sing every song and dance in Grease.
wow. All righty.
Way back
There you
when.
go. Okay. Favorite book.
Ooh, oh my gosh. The E Myth.
Oh, right
Um,
on.
because it talks about how to not just work in your business, but to actually be an entrepreneur.
Okay. Do you have a favorite holiday?
Favorite holiday? I really do enjoy Christmas and the lights and time with family.
Alrighty. What is your favorite type, texture, uh, line of balloons? I don't know how to phrase this
Yeah, I
ever.
hear what you're saying. I personally love standard rainbow, bright,
Okay.
bold, and fun.
All right. Cool. Cool. The weirdest. All right. This is. I like this one to be asked in and outside of the balloon world. Weirdest job you've ever had.
Weirdest job I've ever had.
The weirdest balloon job you've ever had, and then outside of balloons, the weirdest job you've ever had.
Okay.
Or the
Um,
weirdest thing you've done for money that's PG enough to share with the group.
Um, I think working in outdoor education was pretty wild. Just because you're like, I'm getting paid to tie people up and put them in trees and have them jump. So that was kind of, it was a cool job and a strange job all in one. And then for balloons, I remember I had to decorate a strip club once, but I don't remember all the
Oh,
backstory on that.
wow.
Um, so that was kind of odd.
Not heard that story yet. Okay, if you could meet one person from any time, all time, ever, who would that be?
One more time.
If you could meet one person ever, past, present, future.
That's a good one.
I'm trying to mix it between just dumb favorites
I
and
know.
a little bit more deep questions.
Mother Teresa.
Okay, cool. Why? I'm curious on that one.
Just because she had such a giving heart and doing cool things for other people.
Yeah. Okay. If you could spend one day anywhere, where would it be?
Um, the beach.
Okay.
I love the beach and watching the ocean go in and out.
All right.
Sunrise and sunset, the magical of the colors.
Okay. What was your favorite toy growing up?
Oh my gosh, I had a Snoopy. My mom, when I was born, was gifted a Snoopy for me, and I hugged it all the time where his head popped off, and so
Oh,
the head got sewn back on, and I had that forever. So yeah, I always loved my Snoopy.
like forever until when?
I would say probably got rid of him in middle school. I think
Why?
he got like put on a shelf. Like,
Okay, so what happened from there?
I think at some point he got thrown away.
Yeah, so I had like a donkey that I was given. Like I don't know. It was just a little ratty tatty donkey that I had forever. And then I had a mean ex-girlfriend throw it in a lake. I didn't know about it. It just disappeared. I had it until I was like out of high school.
Oh wow.
She like, I'm not bitter about it, but
Not at all.
um, okay. Um, okay, you may have answered this one already, but let's go even farther back than you being more mature. When you were little, what did you want to be when you grew up?
When I was little, I wanted to be a dancer. So from the age 3 to 13, I took tap, jazz, ballet, baton, and gymnastics.
Which one was your favorite?
I loved jazz.
The jazz hands? You got
Yes.
okay.
So I actually danced. I took, because I had started so young, I took dance classes with the Chiefettes, which were the professional cheerleaders for the Chiefs in Kansas City.
Okay, so this wasn't one of my questions, but where are you from? Where were you born?
Yeah, I was born in California, and then there were earthquakes, and my mom didn't like that, so she moved back to Missouri, but to be by her family. And so I grew up in Kansas City, Missouri, through college. I mean, through high school. My family home was there, and then I went to college in
Are
Springfield,
you a
Missouri.
Chiefs? I mean, I know you don't. Are you a Chiefs fan? Is that
I'm
no?
not into sports. Yeah.
Okay, right on. Do you listen to podcasts, and what would be your favoriteest one?
Currently one of my favorites is honestly listening to Sarah Meyer with the Bright Balloon, because I absolutely love her personality and how transparent she is and the things that she brings into it. And then I also listen to EO Fire.
EO Fire. What is that one about?
It's on entrepreneurship
Okay.
and business.
Favorite type of music?
Um, oh man, I really listen to a lot of different genres. I really enjoy country, like Rascal Flats.
Okay. Um, bucket list item.
Bucket list item that I have not done yet is I would like to go to Alaska.
Okay. Um, yeah, I've heard it's very pretty. I've seen pretty pictures from it. All right. So we're getting to some of my favorite questions. What would be your spirit animal?
Dolphin.
Oh, you were really quick on that. Has that been a question you've answered before, or you just
I love dolphins. Like I've gone on our kayaks and actually kayaked next to dolphins. That was pretty
where was
awesome.
that at? Like, was that in
It
the
was over on the coast by military base. One of my friends from high school, her husband's in the military, and so we were able to go camping. I honestly don't remember what the name of the city was,
was it
but
Florida?
that on the military base they make a campgrounds for for military to come and use, and so we were right there on a
Cool.
waterway that goes right out to the Atlantic.
That's a cool experience. First time I took my jet skis out to the ocean, we got surrounded by dolphins, and they were like where you could hear them breathe when they breached the water. It was
Awesome.
super cool. Yeah. Okay, if you could go back in time and give yourself one piece of advice, what would that be?
Um, don't believe the negative stuff. My dad told me because I was fat, I would never get married and that no one ever would want to be with me. And my husband and I just did 30 years of marriage. So
Yeah,
they're, don't listen to the negative. Don't believe it.
yeah. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. If you ruled the world and can implement one change, even if it's far-fetched or whatever, if you could make one change in the world that you could make happen because you ruled it and it would be it, what would it be?
Um, to not have, what's the right word? Like just to get rid of, um, like labels, like the whole Democrat, Republic, the black, white, green. Like, I just don't like the division. Like, we're just humans. We're on the planet together. And just to be able to see people for being people rather than trying to put everybody into a box.
Okay. So would you say maybe like to get, yeah, labels. That's a good way
Yeah,
to.
get rid of labels.
If you could know the day you were going to die, would you want to know?
Um,
And why or why not?
that's a good. I guess on wanting to know it so that you could do the things with the people you want to before that date.
Yeah. I kind of feel like any day, like even if I knew it was 90, I would still somehow feel like it's finite. Where without a date, I feel like I don't know when I'm going to die. It could be never. Jesus could come back for it, right? Like in my mind, even if it's an old date, I'm going to feel the pressure of I need to do things better now because I'm only going to live till I'm 90. That's not that, I mean, today's my birthday, so 90 is a lot closer than it was
Right.
yesterday, I guess. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have asked me very politely to avoid this question about the Harry Potter house and the sorting hat. So I have devised a new question, and it is describe a perfect day. I've never
Wow.
asked this one before, so I'm just curious.
Describe a perfect day.
Yep.
Um, Waking up in the morning where it's not too hot so that you enjoy going outside for a walk. um,
So not living in
and
Florida so far. Got it.
yep. Being able to see the sunrise. So like a perfect day would be me living on the water, being able to watch sunrise. That would
Okay.
be an absolute perfect day.
That's a
And then
perfect.
mealtime with my family.
And then meals with your family. What else? Just a day off, just chilling on the water?
Yeah, love, love, love anytime I can be on the water. Go
Okay.
for a kayak ride. Yeah, that would be a perfect day.
Right on. Awesome. Okay, so that's it. Thank you for playing my weird game.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
There is time for people who may have questions. If you have questions for Joette, this is going to happen in 2 stages. You're going to let us know you have a question. You're going to tell us something that you're grateful for, and then you can ask Joette her question. If that makes sense. So if anybody has questions, now is the time. Yanni, I'm gonna ask you to unmute. You raised your hand, so I assume that means you have a question.
Yes, I do. Good morning. Hi, my name is Yanni. I'm grateful for life, and I'm grateful to have be able to have friends who I can help and have friends who help me. My question is, what is one thing that you want business owners to know? Like, if they take nothing else away from you as the balloon coach, what is the one thing that you want them to know? I'm sorry if you asked that
Yeah,
already.
no, I don't think so. Never stop learning. Like I think so many times as a business owners, we think, oh, we have to know it all, or that it makes us weak to ask for help and to learn something new, and just to always keep learning and know that that makes you better as a business person. Good question. Thanks, Johnny.
And I am super grateful for having known you and for being a part of this and learning all this. So really, really great for that. And my question is actually a comment. I just want to point out that in the beginning, when you were talking about your work in the social care, one of the things you said is just do it scared. And I thought that was something that really resonated with a lot of what I do, because oftentimes I'll have people say to me something to the effect of, "Oh, but you're outgoing. Oh, you're a people person, or you like doing this." I don't like any of it, and I'm not a people person. I hate being around people.
Yeah.
And anybody who was at Balloon Boss Summit, I think it was like 6 years ago or something, we sat around the hot tub, and the big thing they made fun of me for was that basically I said I don't like people and don't want to be around people, and they thought it was ridiculous. And I've since changed the way I state that sentiment. But the short version of it is I don't like going and doing all that. I have to do a lot of this stuff scared. And the only reason I don't look scared or don't act in a way physically that's scared is because I've become accustomed to it, because I've done it scared. And so I really love that you mentioned that and talked about that. And I think that's really important to share. So thank you for adding that into the conversation.
No, that's great because it is important for people to understand that not everybody, even though they come across confident and enjoying being in the moment, that's not always people's skill set. I love it. Thanks, Jonathan.
That outside area from, what do you say, John? Like maybe 9 p.m. until 2 a.m.
Yeah,
Couple
basically after
margaritas.
dinner until really late.
Yes, there has been a lot happen out there in a very positive way. Like John and I became friends because of those times. Um, I don't know. If you guys go, you need to make sure don't go to bed early. come, I mean, you need to go to bed at an appropriate time because Joe will get mad at me for saying otherwise. But you need to join us outside for a little bit of time together, make some new friends, get to talk and share life together. Like it's, I don't know, it's amazing.
Love it.
Any other questions for Joette? I also think, because John started something that I kind of like, if you want to share like a takeaway from this interview, I think Joette would be happy to hear something that you want to take away from this that really means something to you. Still show me why you're grateful. Dory said that's also how she met Fudge, is at that hot tub. Yep.
Love it.
All right, I'll give it another second or two if anyone has any questions. But Joette, I'm grateful for you for not running away. And I know God lined everything up, so I feel like maybe that's the reason. But when I told you I really wanted to buy your business, I realized that that had been a thought I had kept inside for a long time because I was afraid you would run away from me if I said it out loud. So when I said it out loud and I was like, oh no, I think I just ruined our friendship. Your response was, I might make that happen sooner than you think, which kind of, it was good. So I appreciate you being, I don't know, following your heart and doing what God wanted you to do. Not just
Well,
because because of me having party people events, but just because that's who you are.
yeah. No, and I appreciated you asking because what was interesting is I had other people offer to buy my business prior to that, and I just didn't trust them to do what I needed them to do. I just didn't feel like they had the skills. So it was definitely one of those God moments, I believe, when you asked me that question. It was because we were working on a project together. So that's the other thing. You never know what's going to happen. If a balloon person in your area asks you to collaborate on a project, do it because you never know what's going to happen next.
Yeah. So one last little question since we don't have any more, maybe this is a little question. What advice would you have since you've sold a business? What advice would you have with somebody who's thinking about maybe that's where they want to be soon? Or maybe that's their end goal. What advice would you have for somebody who might be interested in ending their business in that capacity?
Use the resources in ballooncoach.com and the resources in the Balloon Guild to make yourself a really good workbook, handbook, and make sure that you have something to give to the next person because it's going to add value. Most of the balloon people that I know run by the seat of their pants, and I was definitely one of those people too. And the more things that you can have written down so that somebody can just walk in and take over your business, the better. Because when selling a business, part of your customers going with the new owner rather than somebody else is for there to be consistency in the work and consistency in how things are done. And so if you've got that customer management system or you've got the, hey, this is how we communicate with people, if you have an updated website that looks good and that the new person can take over, all of those steps really help add value to your business.
I
So
think
would
it's
you
a
advise?
wonderful ending comment as well. Yanni says, here's to more opportunities for collaborations with balloons and beyond.
Yeah.
I love it.
Okay, well, Joette, thank you for your time. That's been an hour. So people can find you, first of all, on Facebook. They can sign up for, are you okay sharing what your Balloon Boss price points are right now? So
Yeah.
if somebody's interested in joining.
Yes. So on ballooncoach.com, you click on Join Summit, and the current price is $27.97. So $2,797. And I know that's a scary number, but divide it by 6 days and getting lunch every day. And I'm always open. Lunch is $50 plus, plus, plus. So when you're in a resort, you pay those extra prices for things. And we have a team of 27 instructors. So when you do that math, you're going to be able to sit down at times and have a conversation where it's just you and the instructor, or you and like 3 other people, maybe working in a group of 8. So it's that real intimate experience. And in other industries, it's valued at over $10,000. So I just always encourage people to look at that as an investment. And what would happen to your business if your money doubled in the next year? And we've had people do that of either double or triple in the following year after attending the event when they take action on what they learn, or they stay the same number but they become more profitable and put more money in their pocket because they have learned so many things from all the different people there.
And I will add
What-
that I did a bunch of math on the first time I went to figure out if it was worth it for me. And I found that it was. And my number said that I had to make 6 times more than what it cost to justify me going. And so that's how I did that. So
Oh, that's cool.
Okay, so also in addition to Summit, you have Balloon Coach Mastermind, Balloon
Yes.
Boss Mastermind. I don't know which one.
Yeah,
it is.
Balloon Boss Mastermind, it's $97 a month, and it allows you to have 4 live trainings with me a month. So basically it ends up working out weekly. And at the end of every training that has a certain topic, we turn off the recording and just have open Q&A. So you're stuck on a quote, you don't know how to respond to somebody's email, you don't know what to say when you go to a networking meeting, any of that stuff. And I have interviewed over 60 balloon professionals from around the world over the years that have shared their tips and hints for their business. And so you can search all of that and go back in time and listen to those awesome stories and tips.
Okay, cool. And then
Oh, and
tomorrow,
you can cancel at any time. So I think the thing with having a subscription program, just like you guys probably find, is so many people think like, oh, I'm going to sign up for a subscription program, I'm stuck the rest of my life. It's
Right.
not a contract. If you don't
Right.
like it after the first month, you can say goodbye. No harm, no foul.
Okay, and then tomorrow we'll see you at Lunch and Learn because you get me to be there and
Yes.
talk about recipes for success.
Woo woo!
And that is at noon o'clock, I believe.
Noon Eastern.
And they can find a link to that on
Ballooncoach.com.
okay.
Sorry, not on ballooncoach.com, on Balloon Coach Facebook.
Balloon Coach
And
on
And also, if you're in my email list, I'm sending it out there. And if you're not on my email list, you can go to Balloon Coach Joette and follow me on Instagram. And there's a link in the bio to get onto my mailing list.
Okay, awesome. All right, well, thank you so much. I will see you very, very soon. Thank you for all of your everything.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. And I look forward to our interview tomorrow.
All righty.